If you are new to our channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Well, we're going to talk about some things that we accomplished poorly last year or didn't accomplish at all that you do not have to do. The mistakes we made last year and years past in our garden because we don't want you to fail like we did. And some of these are things we already knew, but just failed to work, do them correctly.
So, you have to water your plants?
Well, yeah, and we talked about the tree diaper. We are going to use dripping spring Oyas this year, as well as another device is the plant booster, which automatically waters your containers without electricity. It does a phenomenal job there doing that. So, yeah, it seems like common sense. Yeah, you should water your plants. Well, sometimes we forget, and other things come up. So it's one of those things. And again, not watering enough or watering too much, that is also a problem in which you face, especially in containers. But yeah, water regularly.
So that's one, especially I was going to say the containers as well.
Right. We make lots of mistakes in the garden, and we want to share some of these so you don't make them. I mean, common sense watering, but what are you going to do?
So thinking about your soil, this was actually more or less Joey's mistake. He was trying to feed the plants, and I said, you got to feed your soil. And then finally he realized that he was wrong.
Well, in an agricultural standpoint, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, you feed the plants, you supplement the fertilizer for the plants, and the soil is just a medium in which it grows in. It's a dead medium. So that was a transition in which I had to learn in an organic setting, in a backyard setting, rather than an agricultural setting. But yeah, feed the soil and organic material, seed-free, chemical-free grass clippings, leaves. We're finishing up cleaning up what leaves had fell on the property that I didn't get cleaned up this past fall. I did calculations. I like doing the math and figuring out precisely how much we will, when it's all said and done, we'll have brought in over right at 2,000 pounds of unshredded leaves into our garden since late September last year.
Right.
And that's just on our property, half a block on both sides of the house and half a block on both sides of the other side of the street. So I spent many days cleaning the street. I am sure the city was trying to figure out why there was never any leaves on that half of the street.
I don't think they care.
Yeah, because there was nothing ever there.
They're probably just glad they didn't have to pick them up.
No, I used clean leaves. I didn't use just yard debris. I left that alone because I didn't know what kind of toxicities other people were spraying on their grasses or their plants that they cut back. So it was just leaves that I brought in. Right.
So the other one is not labeling your plants. We did this. A lot of seedlings all look the same. We did this with broccoli and Brussels sprouts. A couple years ago. Now we don't grow broccoli, but we do grow many plants. So you want to make sure you know what you're growing.
Right. We thought, we thought we had 8 very nice Brussels sprout plants. Well, again, they weren't somehow either the seeds got mixed or I mislabeled, but we had very nice broccoli plants that we couldn't get to put a head on because we just can't make that accomplishment.
On the other side of this, though, you have to keep in mind if you save your seeds to label those as well.
Yes. So you're not having a jar of mystery seeds that you're planting. Well, this is cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, or something because all the seeds are identical. So that's important when it comes to that. Not enough weeding. This is something that if you do a raised bed or containers, really minimal amount of weeding, if any, just what seeds may fall from the sky. If you do heavy mulching, like we are doing with the leaves, we're expecting to have minimum weeds because the leaves are smothering out and preventing what seeds there to germinate. And what plant life is there is going to get smothered out because of the heavy amount of leaves that are on the garden already. Now, when I say 2,000 pounds of leaves, a ton of leaves, most of that by July or August, we won't even know we did a thing because that will all break down and feed the soil. Just the natural process of the microbial life, worms, other creepy crawly things breaking down those leaves. Now, true, if we would have shredded all of those leaves, they would break down much, much quicker. But we don't have time to take a leaf mulcher and leaf mulch a half a block on both sides and 2,000 pounds of leaves. We just get them, dump them, and use them as mulch. And I'd much rather have the problem now, hey, I think I've got too many leaves, than, man, I wish I had more leaves this time of year.
We just had a question.
Yes.
How do you weigh your leaves?
I put it. We used a 44-gallon Rubbermaid trash can. I packed it full of leaves, and I weighed it. And then I took I did it a couple of times and took an average, and then multiplied that by 72 trash canfuls, which is what I calculated because I'm very precise of how much goes in, and so I know the end result. So that's how we calculated it. Yeah, I weighed a barrel full of leaves.
Good job.
Yeah.
Okay. So not setting up a perennial bed.
That was something that we kind of look back and go, man, I wish we would have done that.
Right.
And if wishes was candies and nuts and everything. What is that saying? You know, okay. If
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what the saying is.
Which
I know a different saying.
We established the garden in 2010, and we didn't. That was a time where things were kind of not really financially stable for us, and we didn't know, are we going to be permanent here, or are we going to be somewhere else? Mm-hmm. So we felt that on a year-by-year basis, we should just go with annuals, tomatoes, peppers, the things that we know that if we have to move.
We did do strawberries, though.
We did do strawberries.
But I think that was the following
That was the
year.
only thing that we ever did. And now that I look back, we do have rhubarb in containers, but I kind of wish we would have had asparagus, some berry plants, bushes, blackberries, raspberries, that type of thing. But that's something, if you are in a location in which you know you're going to be there long term, you've put a 30-year mortgage on the house and you've got a yard, 2 to 3 years, you can have a well-established plant.
Use those perennials to your advantage, that's for sure.
A plant that works for you that you don't have to work for it to produce.
Another one is using Epsom salt for tomatoes. There's this rumor that if you get blossom end rot, if you put Epsom salt on your plants, it's going to prevent that, and that's not the case.
Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate. Now, we are all very lacking in magnesium intake in our diets, and there are some health complications because if we have a lack of magnesium. But magnesium sulfate does not substitute for calcium deficiency in the soil that the tomato plant needs in order to develop the remaining portion of the bottom of the fruit. That's the black portion that the tomato has because the calcium is not available for the full ripeness of the tomato. Your soil may be loaded with calcium, but it may be locked in the soil because the soil is too dry. So by watering the soil, keeping the soil damp, that will allow the moisture, allow the calcium to be picked up by the roots of the tomato plant and grow properly. So Epsom salt, not for blossom end rot. We preached this for a number of years until we looked at the science of it and said, hey, whoa, we've made a mistake here. This is not the reason why it does what it does.
So this isn't a mistake that we've necessarily made, but a lot of people do, is taking on too much.
I want to have a garden. We're going to do the whole backyard. It's 500 square feet. And then by July, you're like, what the heck? I can't handle this. There's weeds everywhere. There's all of this. I can't do it.
Right. And a lot of people will ask me, you have this huge garden. I could never do that. And it's like, well, first of all, it's two of us doing it. We have a lot of experience. And we started small. Right. We started with, this is small, I guess, to some. We started with about 700 square feet. Then we went to 900. Then we said, okay, and it's at Holly's mother's backyard, and her initial quote was, I'm tired of cutting grass, turn the whole thing into a garden. Well, kind of. She wanted that one main area turned, and then you were like, let me just open this up. That's what your famous line is. Let me just open this up a little bit.
And 1,800 square feet later.
And plus a few raised beds.
And a dozen and a half containers.
Right.
We're out of room. And that's yeah. But I understood land management better because of that agricultural background that I had. Rather than, you or I don't want to say average, but the hobbyist going into the backyard and going, till it all up, plant, and then this is too much. I can't deal with it. So inside of that 1,800 square feet, we have what is called raised berms, where it's a 2 to 4 foot wide area of grow space with a permanent walk path, grow space. So it's essentially like raised beds without the lumber, that type of thing. So, yeah, don't take on too much. Thank you for checking out the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener radio show. For more, go to the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com for full-length in-studio video and podcast replay of Season 1. Season 2 underway and added weekly. Tweet us at TWVG Show or hashtag TWVG to be part of the program.